Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you a question. Not a comfortable question, not a polite networking event question, but a question that goes straight in the heart of leadership. What do you do when you reach the door and fear is waiting on the other side? Because every founder, every leader, every CEO will face that moment. The moment when the ground disappears beneath your feet. The moment when logic says, stay safe, but destiny whispers, jump. And today, I want to tell you a story, my story, that is also your story. Growing up, I had a dream, not a small dream, not a safe dream, a big one. I dreamed of becoming an elite paratrooper. You see, some kids dream about being an astronaut or being an athlete or being a president. But I dream about jumping out of airplane thousands of feet in the sky. Why? Because something inside me was calling me toward challenge, toward courage, toward becoming someone stronger than I was yesterday. And when I grew up, something incredible happened. I had the opportunity to join the elite Legion's paratrooper regiment. Now, let me tell you something. Dreams sound beautiful when you are a child. But when the dream becomes real, that's when fears begins. Now, let me pause here for a moment because most of you watching this are founders, CEO, entrepreneurs, or leaders. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. The dream of building a company sounds exciting until you have to raise your first funding, launch your first product, hire your first team, or make your first hard decision as a leader. The dream is beautiful, but execution is terrifying. Joining the paratrooper was not glamorous. It was not a movie scene. It was brutal training. Long day, pain, exhaustion, pressure. You see, elite environment don't ask politely. They demand. They demand discipline. They demand resilience. They demand that you become someone stronger than you were yesterday. And leadership works exactly the same way. Being a founder is not about having a cool idea. It is about carrying the weight of responsibility when everyone else is tired. It is about standing when everyone else sits down. It is about believing when the numbers don't look good yet. Then one day, the day came, the day every paratrooper must face, the first jump. We got into the plane, they closed the back door, engines were roaring, and we took off. The plane climbed higher and higher and higher in the sky. As the plane climbed, something inside me started changing. I started feeling fear because now the dream was coming to reality. Then the instructors opened the side doors of the plane and the sky appeared just in front of my eyes. A massive, endless din of air, and air rushing violently into the aircraft. And below us, thousands of feet of nothing. Then the instructors shouted, "Stand up!" We stood, moved to the door, and suddenly I was there standing at the open door of the plane in the sky. All my trainings, all my preparation, all my dreaming had led me to this exact moment. And then fear creeps in. Real fear. The kind of fear that tightens your chest. The kind of fear that whispers in your ears, "Stay safe. What are you doing? This is too dangerous. You can die. Stay in the plane." And for a moment, I wanted to quit. Yes, the guy who dreamed since childhood of becoming an elite paratrooper was about to quit. Standing at the door, looking into the sky, I thought about stepping back. I thought about telling the instructors that I couldn't do it. If you are a founder, a CEO, an entrepreneur, a leader, here is something. Every great leader has a moment where quitting looks very reasonable. That open door in the sky appears in many different ways. For a founder, it might be launching your startup when everyone doubts you, quitting a comfortable job, investing your saving into an uncertain future, hiring people before you know if revenue will come. The door is different, but the feeling is identical. Fear, doubt, uncertainty. So, as I stood there at the open door of that plane, frozen, two voices started talking inside my head. One voice said, "Stay back. Stay safe. You don't have to do this." But another voice, a deeper voice, said, "You didn't come this far to stay in the plane." Let me tell you something about leadership. Leadership is not built in comfort. Leadership is built in moment of decision. The moment where fear and purpose collide. And the person you choose to become is determined by what you do next. So as I stood there at the open door of that plane, heart pounding, hands shaking, and wind roaring in my ears, I realized something. Fear was not the enemy. Fear was the gatekeeper of growth. Then the moment came. The instructor shouted, "Go!" And in that moment, I stopped negotiating with fear. I didn't wait for confidence. I didn't wait for courage. I just moved. And I jumped. And something incredible happened. The moment I left the plane, fear disappeared. Suddenly, there was silence. Just me floating in the sky, suspended between earth and heaven. And I realized something powerful. The thing I feared the most was not the jump. It was the moment before the jump. Entrepreneurs fear launching. Leaders fear difficult decisions. Innovators fear failure. But the reality is this: the moment you take action, the fear begins to dissolve. Because movement destroys doubt. Action destroys hesitation. And courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is jumping anyway. Elite soldiers, elite athletes, elite founders, they all share the same secret. They don't eliminate fear. They move through it. Because growth lives on the other side of jump. Innovation lives on the other side of jump. Great companies are built by people who are willing to jump. So if you are a founder watching this and you are standing at your own door, maybe you are afraid to launch. Maybe you are afraid to pivot. Maybe you are afraid to lead boldly. Let me tell you something. The world doesn't change because people stay in the plane. The world changes because someone somewhere decides to jump. You see, I thought becoming a paratrooper was about jumping out of airplanes. But it was not. It was about learning a lesson I will carry for the rest of my life. Fear will always stand at the door, but destiny lives in the sky. So I ask you again, founders, leaders, CEOs, when you reach the door and fear is staring at you in the face, what will you do? Will you step back or will you jump? Because the next great company, the next great innovation, the next great leader is not waiting for perfect conditions. They are standing at the door, taking a break, and then doing the one thing that changes everything: the jump.